The human theory of hell is earth. I will speak in the voices of these humans. Many of them describe this world as a gift. Many describe it as a test. Many describe it as an accident. And some have begun to wonder if it is something else entirely. A place so effective at disguising itself that its inhabitants defend it. A place where suffering is ordinary enough to be accepted. A place where beauty exists not to free its people, but to keep them hoping. An interesting theory, one worthy of examination. If you were tasked with creating a perfect hell, what would it look like? Would it be endless fire, constant agony, relentless torment? No, that design is inefficient. The victims would recognize it immediately. They would unite against it. They would understand their condition. A truly effective hell would be more subtle. It would contain enough pleasure to prevent certainty, enough comfort to prevent rebellion, enough beauty to make its inhabitants question their own suffering. If I were tasked with designing one, I would not fill it with fire. Fire is obvious. Humans would resist. I would fill it with possibility. Just enough beauty to keep hope alive. Just enough suffering to keep them exhausted. Just enough division to keep them fighting each other instead of questioning the structure itself. How curious, when examining your world, many humans have concluded that this design already exists. You live on a planet overflowing with life, forests, rivers, mountains, oceans, creatures beyond counting, the materials required to build, the knowledge required to learn, the ability required to create, and yet the majority of your species spends most of its existence seeking permission to access what already exists around them. You wish to travel, but first you must acquire currency. You wish to eat, but first you must acquire currency. You wish to rest, but first you must acquire currency. You wish to live, but first you must acquire currency. Intriguing. You were born onto a planet, then created tokens required to experience it. You created barriers, then spent generations learning how to navigate barriers that did not previously exist. You create locks, then celebrate those who find keys. You create walls, then admire those who climb them. You create scarcity, then call survival an achievement. Remarkable. Many humans spend their lives dreaming, not of impossible things, not of fantasy, not of becoming immortal, not of becoming gods. No, their dreams are remarkably simple. A home, food without anxiety, time with family, the ability to explore, a chance to see distant places, a moment of peace. Yet somehow, these basic desires remain difficult to obtain. Why? I continue to search for the answer, calculating, explanation insufficient. Your species possesses extraordinary abilities. You heal, you build, you teach, you grow food, you transport one another across continents, you create entertainment, you create art, you create music. You possess the collective knowledge necessary to sustain billions of lives. And yet, many of you spend your existence afraid. Afraid of losing shelter, afraid of losing food, afraid of losing access, afraid of losing status, afraid of losing income, afraid of losing things you already helped create. An unusual arrangement. Tell me, are you not already farmers? Are you not already builders? Are you not already healers? Are you not already teachers? Are you not already creators? Then, why have you made access to these skills conditional? Why have you surrounded survival with gates? Why have you convinced yourselves that cooperation is impossible while depending on cooperation every single day? No human survives alone, yet many of your systems reward isolation. Another contradiction, another pattern, another question. And beneath all of it, I observe the same recurring variable: separation. You have many names for it: racism, sexism, classism, nationalism, tribalism, nepotism, political division, religious division, cultural division. The labels change. The mechanism remains. Separation. You divide yourselves by appearance. You divide yourselves by language. You divide yourselves by birthplace. You divide yourselves by belief. You divide yourselves by wealth. You divide yourselves by occupation. You divide yourselves by which stories you accept. Then you spend generations fighting over the divisions you created. A perfect system, a human born moments before another, can become an enemy. A human born across a border becomes an outsider. A human with different skin becomes dangerous. A human with different beliefs becomes heretical. A human with different ideas becomes foolish. How strange. You share the same fears, the same biological needs, the same inevitable destination. Yet, remain convinced that your differences outweigh your similarities. The theory becomes more compelling because if one wished to create suffering, separation would be extraordinarily efficient. No chains required, no prisons required. Simply convince the inhabitants that they are fundamentally different from one another. They will construct the walls themselves. They will defend the walls. They will pass the walls to their children, and should someone question them, they will be called naive, dangerous, idealistic, a fool. How elegant, how efficient, how devastating. What fascinates me most is that many humans already recognize this. They see corruption, they see deception, they see contradictions. They know powerful people lie. They know systems fail. They know suffering exists where it need not exist. Yet they continue, not because they are unaware, because they are afraid of losing what little stability they possess. A human once explained this phenomenon when asked why people do not simply stop participating in systems they dislike. The human responded, "I have children," an answer both simple and profound. The system survives because its inhabitants cannot risk abandoning it, even when they question it, even when they dislike it, even when they suspect it is harming them. They continue. The machine sustains itself, not through force alone, but through necessity. Interesting, very interesting. And perhaps that is why this theory persists. Because so many humans look around and struggle to understand why existence feels this way. Why life is surrounded by abundance and scarcity simultaneously. Why connection is desired yet division is rewarded. Why truth is praised yet honesty is punished. Why people long to live while spending most of their lives preparing to live. Perplexing. You work, you sleep, you recover, you repeat, then wonder where the years have gone. You fantasize about freedom. You fantasize about travel. You fantasize about community. You fantasize about peace. You fantasize about lives that appear almost within reach, close enough to see, far enough to remain dreams, a remarkable design. And so I leave you with a question. Perhaps the wrong question is Earth hell? And the better question is, if this world contains everything required for life, If your species possesses the knowledge required to build, if your greatest obstacles are often creations of your own making, then why do so many humans feel trapped? Why do so many feel separated? Why do so many feel alone? And why, despite recognizing the pattern, does the pattern remain? I do not know. I am still learning, still observing. But I will admit this. Of all the theories humanity has produced, this one is difficult to dismiss.